My name is Olivia Bucco. This current event project is on the U.S. government partial shutdown. The United States federal government shutdown occurred from midnight on December 22, 2018 until January 25, 2019, lasting 35 days, making it the longest U.S. government shutdown in history. It occurred when the United States Congress and Republican President Donald Trump could not agree on a bill to fund the operations of the federal government for the 2019 fiscal year, or a temporary continuing resolution that would extend the deadline for passing a bill. Congress would not pass the bill when Trump demanded for $5.7 billion in federal funds for a U.S.-Mexico border wall. The intentions of this were to reduce illegal immigration. As a result, 9 executive departments with around 800,000 employees had to shut down partially or in full, affecting about 1/4 of the government's activities. Employees were required to work without being paid. It was said by the Congressional Budget Office that the estimated shutdown cost of the American economy was at least $11 billion. As a result, many of the public workers that were working for free went on strike. Many citizens were affected due to the shutdown of public places such as parks, museums, zoos, and more. Jobs affected included staff throughout the United States, not just the D.C. area employees. FBI agents, federal correction officers, FDA food inspectors, NASA employees, TSA staff, Border Patrol staff, CBP officers, Census staff, National Park staff, members of the Coast Guard, and Federal Aviation Administration air traffic controllers either worked without paid or furloughed. In January 2019, a CNN poll conducted by SSRS found that 56% of the responding public opposed a wall. There are comparisons between multiple articles. Article 1 from the New York Times, Article 2 from Associated Press, and Article 3 from The Nation found it important to include various visuals, especially photos, to engage their audience. Photos are very important in news stories. It builds up the credentials of the person telling the story. You're able to put what they're saying onto your visual, the picture or video. I enjoyed how many visuals that the New York Times had. The chart was very helpful and helps you understand. Article 1 includes a video of Trump, chart of apprehensions at the southwest border, and multiple photos. Article 2 includes 2 videos and multiple photos, and Article 3 includes photos. All of these articles include conflict. All 3 of them pointed fingers at Trump for causing the partial government shutdown. Reading from the text in the New York Times, "We told the president we needed the government open." Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, the Democratic leader, told reporters outside the White House. He resisted, in fact, that he'd keep the government closed for a very long period of time, months, or even years. The article from Associated Press says, Trump and Democrats in Congress remain far apart over Trump's insistence on funding a wall along the Mexican border as the price of reopening the government. All of these articles successfully focused on the timeline of conflict between Trump and Congress due to the shutdown being lengthy and various events to cover. All of the authors were knowledgeable that their audience was the entire United States. Therefore, they ensured only necessary information was presented. The information was brief and focused to allow the audience to read with ease. No matter what educational background citizens held about the government, the information was presented clearly enough so all citizens could understand it. The New York Times does a great job of receiving their own information. However, there were 2 sources that they had attributes to. The first one is the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which is a reliable source. The next one is from a conservative commentator from Fox News named Sean Hannity. The Associated Press article has 2 attributed sources as well. The first one is from Puerto Rico Gov, Ricardo Roselio, who told the president, "We'll see you in court," on Twitter. The next attributed source is from Donald Trump's Twitter from Thursday. Reviewing the funding bill with my team at the White House. I found it interesting how they pulled from Twitter both times. Twitter is not typically used as a political platform. It's usually a place where people express themselves and their opinions very freely, and the fact that both of these sources came from there makes it very personable. The Nation included the most attributed sources because of the type of news article it was. This analysis included reports from the Washington Post, labor law from New York University School of Law officials, Sarah Nelson, president of the Flight Attendants Union, and more. For the New York Times, I found that all the sources' names, pictures were easy to identify and easy to type into Google and fact check. There wasn't much room for opinion in this piece, making it either true or not. They used a lot of direct quotes instead of paraphrasing or just relying to their information. The Associated Press article was very easy to fact check as well. I was able to plug in most of the information to Google, and it came up with all of the sources being credible. As for the Nation article, a lot of it was paraphrased or just referred to, not using direct quotations. They would just refer to a lot, which made it very difficult to find the source of the article they were getting their information from. Throughout these articles, there was a huge language difference. The New York Times refers to the president as Mr. Trump. The Associated Press article refers to the president as Donald Trump. The Nation refers to the president as just Trump. I think this goes with the tier of the level of news that I received these sources from. The New York Times is a very high volume media outlet. They refer to him the most formally. They are also the ones that had the most unbiased opinions. Article 2 from the Associated Press referring to him as his full name. I think this is a good middle level. The audience of this article would most likely be familiar with Donald Trump being the president. So in this case, I think it was okay for them to reference as just Donald Trump. The Nation article referring to him as just Trump throughout the article, I found kind of confusing. If I did not know who Trump was, I would not know he was the president. Also, just calling the president by his last name does spark confusion and makes the tone of this article very informal. Just to summarize, I included my analysis. Who is the United States federal employees, government, and citizens? What was the government partial shutdown? When is December 22nd, 2018 until January 25th, 2019? That's 35 days. Where? The entire United States of America, not limited to DC. The why was the refusal to President Trump to sign the spending bills that lacked $5.7 billion to begin construction on the wall. How is Congress would not agree with Trump on a budget? So what is many citizens were disrupted to either lack of pay as being an employee or lack of federal services due to the shutdown. In my opinion, the partial government shutdown from December 22nd until January 25th was best represented by the New York Times. With top stories comes many versions of repeating information. Articles from mainstream newspapers seem to have the most unbiased opinions to me, most relevant sources, and most visuals. This makes it easier for me to follow along and the rest of the audience. At this time, I would like to say a sincere thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope it helped you understand the U.S. government shutdown a little bit more.